I'm going to try to be as quick as possible, but there's a lot to cover here. These are my thoughts on the Season 2 finale. First of all, fantastic. I thought this was a real turning point. I thought this was totally bonkers. This is as good as it gets, and I'm very impressed. It succeeds because it takes it to the next level. It does what the series is good at, is it does character on character, very emotional, very personal, everyday type stories. And it also does the over-the-top, Tolkien-esque type of, monsters. There's a real central villain in this finale, and it's a satisfying villain. Someone that strikes, emotionally and personally at the main character, Twilight, and her brother. And on top of that, this is a villain that is more powerful than Celestia. And that's a very important distinction. Up into the past, I don't want to go into this in depth here, but there are a lot of parallels to draw between this and Harry Potter. In this episode is kind of the Half-Blood Prince, spoiler alert, of My Little Pony, because up until the 6th book of Harry Potter, everything was sort of safe, because Dumbledore was there. He was more powerful than the enemies that Harry personally was facing. So there had to be some kind of confluence of events to move him out of the safety in order for them to have a climax. And that was good for a half dozen books. That was fine. Nothing wrong with that. Here we're coming up to our 26th episode here. It's time for Twilight Sparkle, as a unicorn, as a sorceress, to step out from under the shadow of her master. This is the moment that the student surpasses the master. And not directly, but it is Twilight who saves the day, and there is no going to be rescue. It's not like Lesson 0. There is no Deus Ex Machina left. Okay, you've expelled all your Machinas. If you're going to get out of this tight bit, you need to do it yourself. Okay? And I love those kind of stories because they really force a character to shine in a way that you can really get behind them. And that was just the bee's knees. That was great. Okay. For the bronies, of course we actually see Vinyl Scratch's eyes. And this is of course on the precipice of them actually making a toy based on that famous unicorn DJ that only appeared for 3 seconds. I did see Derpy. Okay? Oh. One more brony shout out. Luna was be sure to mention. I don't require this. I'm not that picky, but I've come to the realization that Luna does not exist during the day in Canterlot at all. I've just come to accept that. But there were night scenes at the end, so when she showed up at the end and just said hi, that to me, that was a good nod to the fans and the people who love Luna. Yay, Luna! Like how this turned out, Episode 1 is probably the hardest for me to watch because it ends with Twilight Sparkle, favorite pony, in the lowest point she's ever been in. She's honest with her feelings. She knows she's going in for a world of shit, but she comes down on Princess Cadence and totally crashes the rehearsal of the wedding. And she pretty much loses the respect of all of her friends and her mentor, Princess Celestia. And tantamount in that scene, she loses the respect of her brother. So she is lower than she was in Lesson 0. She is at the lowest point. And then for the to be continued stinger, she is literally pulled underground by evil forces. So that just kind of, the visuals just match the emotional state of the main character so well that, they had to have planned that perfectly. total credit to them for that. That was a masterful move there. Okay, but still, it's hard to watch because she gets rung through the ringer. It is, wow. And then after that, it's, an entire second part of, they obviously reveal the imposter, they fight the monster. Not even Celestia's magic is enough to stop her, so the main six have to save the world. And it works out great. It works out great because it works out thematically. Why this succeeds so well? It succeeds thematically. It marries two significant points in the series. And it does it quite eloquently. It marries the sort of death of Celestia. This is where something finally tops her. She was, technically speaking, she was outdone by Discord, but that's because he was evading her. And, she was technically outdone by Nightmare Moon because she was captured or canceled out or something. But those were hiding the light, in mythological terms. Those weren't defeating the light. Okay, and here she's outright defeated. And the main characters have to grow up and become adults themselves in order to rectify the situation. And it does that at the same time where they have a marriage. And it's the marriage that is the solution to the dilemma at hand. And I like the way they constructed this story. There's an impending force, and they establish that Shining Armor himself is the only one who can repel it because of his special talent. He has a magical shield as his cutie mark, of course. And then they have his love, his bride, is an imposter. And she, of course, is a succubus character. She is draining the love out of him for her own purposes. This villain wins by corrupting and draining the love out of the one character whose special ability is to defeat her. And she does it with a masterful ruse and whatnot. So you get to the climax where the villain wins, essentially. Shining Armor can no longer perform his special talent, the thing that makes him great, because all the love has been sucked out of him. And the solution to the dilemma is, of course, the return of the bride. The bride's love, which is also, we've established briefly, but we established that was Cadence's special ability, replaces the love that was stolen from him. And then, once he has his other half to make him whole, he can then perform his special technique and Hadouken all these horrible creatures out of Equestria like that. The construction of that and how it works metaphorically, and then how it was then worked in through the plot all the way up until the climax, I thought that was very well done. So thumbs up all around for that. Thumbs up for having a strong Twilight story, and yet still giving, good gags to all the other favorite characters. I was very happy with it, and it's great. So those are my thoughts, and those are how I interpret what was going on in that episode. If you have a different take, if you have a different point of view of how things were going along thematically in that story, I'd love to discuss it. So shoot me a reply video or a comment, and let's chat.